Hello everyone, happy Saturday. Get some of these things that are in the chair here. Just a little check-in. Not gonna share anything particularly interesting other than my own recent experiences. So the last time I made a video, I was talking about having seen my counselor and deciding to go to the psychic development class, which was actually really good. I'm very happy I went. It really pulled me out of a pretty serious funk I had gotten into, and it was helpful to be with other people in a nice environment. One of the exercises as well was kind of a, I don't know what to call it, and I'm not even sure what aspect we were going for at the time, but we had been talking about auras and auric fields, and but then she had us do essentially kind of a cold reading with one another, and I sat with this one woman, and we had to, it had to do with, oh God, what's the word? This is kind of terrible, but I can't remember. Because I know it, because Jackie says it a lot. Me and my cheat sheets, huh? Psychometry. And I kept thinking of something else, I don't know why. She wanted us to give each other something that we had. I gave my bangle and this other woman gave me her ring. But before we even exchanged that, she asked us to sit and just look in each other's eyes for like, I don't know how long it was. It was a few minutes, which for me, with somebody that I don't know, it's hard enough for me to do it with people that I do know, let alone people that I don't know. And it's not that I don't look at a person, it's that I have a lot of boundaries. Sometimes not always in the right places. Sorry, my skin is like really itchy. It's so dry. So it was another situation where I was allowing what is and getting space between my thoughts and my emotions. And this actually happened on the way over there too. I started going, oh, you know, what is it going to be like when I'm there, and who's going to be there? And instead I tried to just, okay, I feel my hands on the steering wheel, I feel my foot on the gas pedal, I feel the warm air blowing from the heater from my car, and bringing myself into the moment, because where I get in trouble is when I start thinking either future thoughts or past thoughts, and they immediately trigger an emotion. So I did that, and I got there, and it was great. I went back the next day and got a few crystals. She talked about using like larger crystal points and using them as a working crystal. She said to put it in the southwest corner of the house, and then just write whatever the intention is and put it underneath, and just set it there and just leave it. Yeah, a lot of it was about intention and energy. That's my perception of it. Having studied Aikido, even when we were working on the auric fields and feeling the auric fields of somebody else, it was not unlike my Aikido practice when we would have ki classes, where we would play with the ki with our hands, we would feel it, and then we would have somebody else close their eyes and go behind them and basically without touching them, you could pull them back using key. So that part of the class, as far as auras and auric fields go, was not unfamiliar, and it is something that I have experienced in the past. So that was very interesting. What else was I going to say about that? She talked about 3 stones. She talked about angelite, lapis, and lavender, amethyst. And I didn't have any angelite, so I went back and got some angelite too. So it was actually a class that was full of a lot of things, and it was a lot of fun. The reading stuff, I don't know. For me, a big part of my challenge in life, and something that I'm learning, is to relax and to allow, which is something you'd think with 13 years of Aikido training I should have learned by now. But we all have our deep things that we have to keep working on. So that was really good. And that got me out of my super bad funk that I was in, and gave me something positive to focus on. And I've been using my little instant camera a little bit more. Oh, I signed up for classes. I signed up for 2 classes at the Visual Arts Center. One is an alternative process photography printing class called, it's making salt prints. So I signed up for that one. I could have signed up for the collodion, which is wet plate, but I wasn't sure I was ready for that. That's when you actually learn to coat the glass with the chemistry, and I wanted to limit myself to 2 classes because they're not super expensive, but they're not really cheap either. So I'm doing a salt print class and then encaustic painting. And I want to learn to use encaustic over either cyanotypes or different kinds of photographic prints, and this will at least give me some background with encaustic. So those will be coming up. The first one starts sometime at the end of this month, and the other one is in April? Yeah, April. Because I know it's a Saturday and a Sunday, and the Sunday is Pinhole Day, which is the last Sunday in April. So I got that going, and then I had an interesting experience. Well, let me back up a little bit. Since my last counseling appointment, and since the psychic development class, I've really started to try to just pay attention, be aware. That's the other thing with the psychic development class, is brought up something that I already know about, and that is simply awareness, being present and being aware. So I've been trying to pay attention to what comes up for me, what I'm drawn to on a deeper level, without a lot of thinking going into it. And then there's the space between my thoughts and my emotions. So I saw the local dojo, who I've been in contact with the sensei since before I moved here, because I wasn't sure whether I was going to take up the practice again or not, Aikido practice again or not. And I noticed that on their Facebook page they had put up a thing where they were going to do a I don't remember whether they call it kids night out or parents night out. Essentially what it ended up being is that they have a normal kids Aikido class Friday evenings, but they extended it so that parents could go out and go to dinner or do whatever they wanted for Valentine's Day. And I wrote the sensei, and I said, do you need any help? And I said, and I can bring my camera and take pictures. And he said, oh sure. So I went, and so I got a good sense of what the dojo feels like. I saw the kids class anyway. He actually had enough help there, but I did help a little bit, and I took pictures, which I need to go through and send to him. But it was funny because I saw the mat and I started thinking, God, you know, I gotta see if I can still roll. I wonder if I can still do my rolls. And when he was doing some demos, it's like, oh yeah, I was remembering the names and the techniques before he said them, which is, I mean, it's only been 2 years and I practiced for 13 years. You'd think something, I still retain something. And you know, and it felt really good and it felt familiar. And another interesting thing was there was another woman there, kind of my age, and she was there just to observe and help out a little. And we got to talking, and it turned out that she had practiced Aikido some years ago, and in the interim had been practicing karate. And it turns out she's been through a divorce recently as well. And she went to her counselor, and her counselor, you know, she thought maybe she would like to practice Aikido again. So we were both, you know, really kind of in the same boat. She's a Zen practitioner. We were talking about a Zendo or a Zen center that she used to go to up in New York, and I knew the Roshi. He's no longer alive, but I knew of him because I had read his book on Zen and the Art of Creativity. And so it was just, it felt very familiar and just like really good. And it almost felt like, well, I don't want to say it almost felt like, because I'm putting, it's like I'm making meaning where I don't need to make meaning, which is kind of a funny thing that I do, because I want everything to fit and I want to make it make sense. And what I really need to do is just allow for it to be what it was. So let's just put it this way: we exchanged contact info, and we might prod each other to get back on the mat, because I started feeling like, well, you know, maybe I can do this. You know, I think it would be an accommodating dojo that some of my, you know, physical issues, maybe, you know, we could work around and that sort of thing, and the practice would be good for me on a number of levels. So that was real good too. And I think the point that I'm trying to make is that my effort right now is just to be more allowing in my life, to be present, to not trigger so quickly between the thoughts and the emotions. And something else I wanted to mention too, when my counselor was talking to me about creating space, instead of having the thought and feeling what it is, to create a little space by saying, isn't it interesting that I'm feeling sad about not being in California? Isn't it interesting that I'm feeling like I will never have another partner in my life? Isn't it interesting that I'm having this sense of hopelessness, so that it isn't I'm feeling this? Isn't it interesting that? And so infusing a sense of curiosity about the thoughts that do the triggering, so it doesn't automatically go to an emotional trigger that will bring me down. So I thought that was very interesting too. So that's enough. I need to eat something and figure out what I'm doing. Well, I know what I'm doing today, at least part of the time, is editing some of those photos from yesterday. But I hope you're all doing well, and we'll talk to you again. Bye.